I am sorry. Are you okay?
Podcast is intended for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed are those of the panelists and do not reflect in any way those of the podcast partners, sponsors, or affiliates. Enjoy. Podcast is intended for mature audiences.
Every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling. Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm hustling.
They didn't think that I would win, but I won. They didn't think that I would win, but I won. I got in there and got the job done. I'm the best in the world, number one. Got that Haney pack flowing in my lungs. Really gave that boy some beats, he my son. He was asleep on the ground, he did not respond. Called an ambulance, Bill Haney, run. Oh my God, why he laying on the canvas?
Oh my God.
Somebody get that boy some milk and a sandwich.
Now.
Told him meet me in the middle, he was dancing.
Left hook, right hook, zero chances.
Really did it for the kids, not myself.
Not myself.
WC, please, someone take his bells.
Take his belt.
I really hit him with the left and he fell. The whole world was watching you take a L.
They didn't think that I would win, but I won. They didn't think that I would win, but I won. I got in there and got the job done. I'm the best in the world, number one. Got that Haney pack flowing in my lungs. Really gave that boy some beats, he my son. He was asleep on the ground, he did not respond.
Called an ambulance,
Bill Haney, run.
I'm really blessed and highly favored. This Haney pack, oh Lord. This Haney pack, oh Lord.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another edition of the Boxing Voice Radio. This is our second episode of the day, and we're back to discuss some boxing. We're bringing you the latest and greatest in the boxing world, and today's biggest news outside of this weekend's fights is Ryan Garcia and his shocking unanimous decision loss to Jalil Romero on May 2nd in Times Square, where fans are now calling poor Ryan washed. Once a social media darling, now being thrown out like a used, discarded garment. So this is what we're here to discuss. There's also new information that is being released insinuating that Ryan Garcia had an injury to his hand in training camp, and he's going to be having surgery now, according to the Ring magazine. So we're asking ourselves, did Ryan Garcia's hand injury sink him in the Jalil Romero fight, or does it have nothing to do with injury? So this is what we're going to be talking about. If you guys are interested, you know what to do. Is King Ryan's career over? We unpack Garcia's mental state. We'll discuss the right hand and the surgery excuse. We'll discuss Oscar De La Hoya pushing for a Romero rematch over the Haney rematch. Getting back in blood, they said. Not anymore. So join us for some hot takes. We got some fan polls. We're going to have some callers calling in. A little bit of everything here on TBV. And we got some interviews scheduled for you as well. So if you're interested in some good old-fashioned boxing talk, stick around as TBV has a great episode planned. This evening, if all goes well, we should be having Jalil Major Hackett in a few minutes. I'll be sending him a quick reminder, just letting him know, making sure we're still good. If not, that'll be a reschedule. But this is what we're going to be talking about. If you guys are interested, you already know what to do. Come on over to TBV, smash that thumbs up, show some love. It's absolutely free. Costs you nothing. Costs you nothing to show some love. We're talking boxing over here. So let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. Actually, let me send this message to Jalil, make sure we're still good. And in the meantime, you could go ahead and hit that thumbs up. And if you remember, don't forget, head on over to the members page right here on YouTube.com and drop Jalil a question. We're going to let him know that it was you that, said that question and where you're dropping it from. This way he knows he's got people that tune into his fights all over the world. Right now, we're going to be discussing the fall of Ryan Garcia. Is Ryan washed? Is his career over? Or is just this another blimp in the road, that Ryan has to get over? Right now, Ryan Garcia is 24-2 with 20 KOs. Once hailed as boxing's next big star, suffered a unanimous decision loss to Romero, coming off of a PED scandal, a performance-enhancing drug scandal, a suspension for a year, a move to welterweight, and a flat performance in Times Square in front of the world. We have Lil Zooted with the first super chat of the day. $2, and he's coming on that Champ Love. He says, Africa in the house. 3 fire emojis and the Ghanan flag, and I believe that is Nigeria? I don't know. I don't know that. But Pistol Parkway, Mozzie, right at us with a $10. Ryan's biggest hit was a fight he cheated in. That sucks, man. But, didn't somebody from the community say you're more prone to injury when you're cycling off the juice? Makes sense. Damn. See, everything points to juice now, and this is why Ryan needs to get back in the good graces of the boxing fans. Ryan Garcia's performance versus Romero wasn't the best. Obviously, Romero neutralized Ryan Garcia's left hook, exposing his limited arsenal by not only beating him with his own favorite punch, but blocking his and knocking him down in front of the world. People were comparing Ryan's stiff movement and lack of jab or right hands to Frankenstein, the monster. Can you believe that? People bringing out excuses. First, it was a mental breakdown, and that's why they said he was crying in the car. He had a lot of pressure on him. The PEDs, having to perform on a high level. Then they're saying it's the right hand. He needs surgery. He injured it during camp and didn't tell anybody. The Ring reports that Garcia is scheduled for a right hand surgery on May 27th, today, in Los Angeles. This could explain, obviously, some of that reluctance, allegedly, to throw that punch. But, boxing fans, they're not trying to hear that. They're saying he wasn't throwing that right hand out of fear of getting countered by Rolando Romero, right? But, a hand injury and said surgery definitely is an excuse that Ryan needs to get his fans back on his side the way that he did when he tested positive for PEDs. He blamed it on New York, and he blamed it on, Victor Conti and everyone except himself, he didn't take responsibility for his wrongdoing or his lack of doing, for that matter, and instead pointed the finger, comes back, and we have another excuse now. We'll see if this is a convenient excuse or if this is legit. In terms of his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, he's absolutely ruled out the plan of an October 2025 rematch with Haney, favoring Romero instead, saying that the Romero rematch is something that he would do if he was Ryan. Garcia's silence, though, on both topics is pretty strange. He hasn't come out and said he wants to fight Rolly. He hasn't come out and said he's got unfinished business with Devin. He's just recovering, is what we'll say. Some people, if not many on social media, now claiming Ryan is washed, overrated, finished. His loss to Romero seen as the worse than, his 2023 loss to Tank. Obviously, it is worse. Tank is a superstar. Tank is a, elite level fighter, or considered that. Losing to Romero, who my co-host likes to call a crayon eater, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. We thought you were on a higher level than Rolly Romero. Remember that fight, Rolly basically took that away pretty comfortably, 115, 112 on two scorecards and 118, 109 on one of the scorecards. So Romero really just coasted to a win, while Garcia underperformed and left people wanting so much more. Obviously, him losing to Rolly ruined all the plans of a Haney rematch. That was backed by the boxing mogul that is Turki Al-Sheikh, right? Al-Sheikh still backing Ryan, though, saying that he's going to stick by Ryan and they'll get him a return fight. So Romero's upset victory may position him for a Haney rematch. Now, he hasn't been vocal about taking on a Haney rematch, but he won, Haney won. Can Turki Al-Sheikh potentially give us that fight with Rolando Romero taking on Devin Haney for his first welterweight title? But we want to explore, can Ryan Garcia actually rebound and potentially fill out, what so many people believe his career should play, the way that his career should play out? Can he live up to the expectation? Again, Garcia's silence, I'm not liking it. Why isn't he saying anything? This is a guy that normally isn't as quiet as he has been. Now, this could be signs. Some could be looking at this like it's a good thing. Maybe Ryan Garcia now all of a sudden is locked in, doesn't want to do the social media antics, ready to show the world that he's a real fighter. But it's still a scratch of the head. Everyone wondering, how did Rolly so easily neutralize Garcia's entire game when Devin is supposed to be the better fighter and he had such a tough time with Ryan? Are Ryan's skills limited, or is he elite? Or is he elite versus limited opposition? His mental state still is a concern for many. Where is he mentally? Does he have what it takes to be able to come back? Does he have the mental fortitude? Does he have the mental toughness? I don't knock the man for crying in the car. Real men cry. But some of you, he's received a lot of backlash for that. People have called him overrated, like I've already stated. People saying he's washed After a loss to Romero, who's a puncher, last thing to go was the power. After a loss to Tank, who's considered the number one in his division, in his age bracket, amongst his peers, now all of a sudden Ryan is lost. That is the biggest problem with this sport. Where you should be getting praise for taking the tough fight, you get thrown out for taking the tough fight. Future opponents. Can Garcia even compete with the top tier fighters like a Jaron Ennis, who once upon a time he called out? Like a Earl Spence, who once upon a time he said he wanted to get it back for Derrick James because of how Earl Spence treated Derrick James. Is he even ready for the likes of a Teofimo Lopez moving up from 140 potentially to 147? Or is he just better suited for less skilled opponents so that he could potentially rebuild his confidence? We thought he was going to wipe Rolly out. So we put him in with Rolly thinking it was an easy fight. That ended up not being what we thought. So do we again put him in with an easy touch? Or should it be really like an Emmanuel to go? Maybe go that low so that he doesn't continue to sidetrack himself, because if he can't get the win to move forward, he keeps going backwards or to the side. But this is what we're talking about. If you guys are interested, you already know what to do. If you want to call in and voice your opinion, you can do that right now using Discord and or X Spaces. So feel free to call in and voice your opinion. Remember, we're going to be having Jalil Major Hackett allegedly on the show. It's show business. We'll see how that goes. I don't think he answered my message just yet. Hopefully he gets the reminder and remembers we're scheduled for today. But if not, we are here talking boxing. We're giving you the update. Ryan Garcia scheduled for hand surgery today. Many saying this is the reason for the flat performance. This is the reason for the lack of output, the lack of right hands was an injury. Do you believe? Do you believe, or is this yet another excuse to try to save Ryan Garcia's public image? To try and keep the money train floating down the tracks. We got James Benitez, Atlanta. What it do?
Yo, what's up, Ness? You hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, man. I definitely believe. I don't believe it was just another excuse. I mean, because people trying to say that he's washed and everything. We wasn't saying that for how he done did Romero do no bad and everything like that instantly, who was a quality opponent at the time. How he already beat the shit out of Emmanuel to go. What he did to Luke Campbell. What he did to Fonseca. You know what I'm saying? What he even shown us with the sushi roll or whatever the hell it was with the Oscar Duarte. We wasn't saying he was washed and everything. We were saying that he was still a building fighter. You know what I'm saying, that has superstardom attributes to him and everything with how he markets himself. So Ryan Garcia is far from washed. And so I do believe it's a hand injury, because that's the same thing why Shakur Stevenson gave a lackluster performance with Edwin De Los Santos, who's probably going to give a better fight coming up on June 7th, and with Keyshawn Davis. But the hand injury is a big thing. That's the money makers. That's the reason why some fighters do hold punches and everything, pull their punches. So it's believable. And also with the struggle of the mental health, like Ness, man, like old Ryan probably would have lashed out and been doing all this talking and everything. But, it's a lot of us that's struggling with mental health. So sometimes you got to just sit in your own silence so you can be able to find the right voice to say before you come out to the public. With that being said, man, I just want Ryan Garcia just to rebuild and come back and do what he ever has to do for himself mentally and emotionally. And all y'all that are struggling with mental health, man, just don't be afraid to see somebody, talk to somebody instead of badgering or shitting on people in the community. Sometimes just try to be a voice or be an ear so they can actually just come to be able to talk to you if they're scared to go to a professional. As always, Ness, shout out to you, shout out to the community. Oh yeah, damn, I was just doing a heartfelt speak, man. What the hell you gonna ask Jalil Hackett when he come on, man? You gonna talk about an upcoming fight? because my only question for him is why he thought he could be in the same realm with Brian Norman at one point in time, which I thought that was crazy work on his behalf and his team's behalf. But shout out to DC though. And why do we choose this topic right here over Boots Duck and Teofimo Lopez? But that's neither here nor there. But Ness, shout out
I
to you
mean,
as
I don't know
always,
that
man.
there's any real
I
data
mean,
that he's ducking Boots.
Turkey Ali Sheik is pissed off, man, that the motherfucker ain't accept his fight. So that's kind of data right there. If Tio's all in and Boots ain't, then Boots is the fucking problem. But
I mean, Boots is
is
undecided.
what?
He's undecided. He's got to figure out, can he make that
Jesus.
weight, bro?
Oh, okay. Then why don't he just vacate and move to 154 then?
I mean,
Like that's the biggest fight. That's the biggest fight he's gonna get. And if he turns down that fight, he might as well move the fuck up because Brian Norman's busy. Brian Norman has probably 2 fights with Top Rank and everything with Jin Sasaki and as well as Rohan Polacco
yeah,
immediately
I'm sure he
next.
got more with
So
that extension. He could win a world title with them.
see what I'm saying? So with that being said, that Norman fight is not going to be nowhere immediate right now. Mario Barros, he's the most protected champion and star in boxing and everything, which he might fuck around and lose to Pacquiao, but if he doesn't, he's definitely not going to pick a Boots Ennis after Pacquiao. Let's be for real here. He'll try to find another dug up old name or whatever, just so he can preserve that belt on the PBC side of the street. So Boots just need to go ahead and vacate and move the fuck up if he's turning down Turkey Alashika offers. But that's my call, Ness, man. As always, shout out to you, shout out to the community. Much respect to everyone. As Brandon Maurice would say, protect your mental health at all times. Shout out to y'all guys. Peace.
All right. Yeah, man. I just don't know that we could call it ducking yet. We got to see what Eddie is going to say, what Boots officially says, see what's going on from there. We got Alex Vega checking in.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with James, man. Just that I think that teal topic, maybe it's good for the morning, but really interesting, stupid, weird, but also some, just some things he has said that I think can get us speaking. But maybe, like I said, 9 a.m. topic possibly. But onto this topic, hand injuries, one of the most common ones you're going to see with boxers, right? Hands, shoulders. We've seen guys fake injuries with hands. Shout out to Midwest Mafia. And I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, you're punching something consistently. That is, you're not made to be punching 1,000 times a week. You know what I mean? Over 1,000 times to be punching things. Is it the reason for the performance? Can we? It's not as easy as saying yes or no. I mean, I guess if you want to say yes, obviously, right? If you're one-handed, that's going to limit you. But I think it shows the limitations of Ryan. That really he is a one-handed fighter when it comes to fighting a certain level. If you got to also blame the team, the trainer, knowing that hey, possibly that hand's not going to be cooperative through the fight. The wrinkles you have to set up, use it as a feint, use it as setups. We didn't see that really. We saw a very timid Ryan. Was it because he knew his hand was hurt, and was it because of Rolly's game plan of using his front hand to control Ryan's front hand and to be reactive? And was Ryan not ready for that? Was Ryan mentally unstable once he got in that ring? Was it, oh my God, there's not people here. They're not cheering my name. And I had to take a long ride to the ring. And oh, it's so much. I can't take it. I mean, there's always, listen, when you lose, you're always going to ask why. Why did I lose? Was it because of this? Was it because of that? I mean, you have the injury, right? I mean, I'm sorry, you have the surgery. You can say it was the hand. I didn't feel comfortable. It was 60 degrees instead of 80 degrees like I'm used to. My I didn't get to walk in with my mom. She didn't get to hold my hand till I got there to the States. I don't know. It's always going to be something. At the end of the day, it's the obvious game plan. They lost. They get the surgery. What do you get to say now? Let's do a tune up. Let's get a win and then we'll go ahead and assess the situation. Very good by his team. Shout out to him and his lawyer and his promoter for making sure they're able to blame something that is very common in boxing. I'm not saying it's fake. I'm not saying it's 100% real. I'm just saying this is how you save face in a very common way where people can't say you're lying or telling the truth. It is what it is. Listen, Ryan Garcia brings ice to the sport. We can't lie. But let's not act like he ever was this top super elite 1% on top of all the elite fighters. The man has an excellent, tremendous left hook, and that gets him out of so many situations because it is a special weapon. But as you see, when you're able to take that away, who is he? He's the guy that gets beat. End of story. And this is not going to be the last time we see Ryan get beat. And I don't think Rolando Romero is going to be the worst fighter that beats him, to be honest. But hey, we'll see. You know, maybe next time it'll be a broken heart. I don't know if he loses. It's always going to be something with these guys, bro. Appreciate the time. I got a kid yelling over here. Appreciate you.
All right, champ. All right. Well, I got the word from Jalil Major Hackett, so he'll be on. If you want to ask him a question, you could do that by dropping that on the Patreon page or the YouTube live page. Right now, we're talking Ryan Garcia's latest excuse, or did Ryan's hand injury cause him to get the loss in the Rolando Romero fight? Right here on our live YouTube, right at the chat, we have a live poll going on where we're asking you a question. Go ahead and answer that. While you're hitting that answer, you can go ahead and hit the like button. We got Big Gucci Nick. What it do?
What it do, man? How the audio sound?
Street.
Yeah, man. Shout to Vega. Good call. It kind of made sense. Um, yeah, Brian in the car ass, man. Soft ass. Pack it up, man. We don't cry around here. Yo, so what happened? He hurt his hand prior to the fight or like during the fight?
Yeah, now they saying prior to the fight.
That's crazy, man. Either way, he got bodied by crayon eating autistic power puncher Rolando Romero, man. He didn't even try to do anything after he got knocked down. So look, man, this where all the damage control comes in, bro. The injuries before the fight, he gonna say he ain't feel like getting up for Rolly. It's all damage control, bro. That's what it is. That's why he crying in the car, cause he gave it his best and he know that. Crying in the car. He look, if he ain't gonna rematch Devin next, bro, and he don't plan on feeling that crayon power, shit, I say go ahead and get someone like a Ramirez to compare himself against Devin. Or, yo, if he wants, I feel like he should get someone in the top 10 in the WBC, man. Come back with someone like in the top 10, like try to get that fight done around the Pacquiao fight. So if Pac wins, man, he can probably get like a voluntary fight against Ryan. I mean, that would be a massive fight, bro. You got to set it up right, man. If they got half a brain and they could plan for that, that should be crazy, man. That should be crazy. If he beats Pacquiao and he gets a WBC belt, yo, that's crazy. He'd be in some of the biggest fights. Boots unification. He probably ain't gonna go for the Norman fight. I don't know. What you think about that? Who you think he should fight next?
Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Big fights only. I think Norman will take it. I think anybody will take it because of the, bag that he represents. But look, that's my guess. Let me get back with you.
All right, champ.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like we are live with Jalil Major Hackett. What's going on, champ? How are you?
How you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Listen, I'm gonna get this right out the way because I know people was hitting you. So I ain't here to be phony. Yeah, I had something to say about the injury. I started asking all my guests is it common to get in the sauna on a Thursday for a Friday? Yes, I certainly didn't think that that was something that's common, but since it happened to you, I've interviewed dozens of fighters, and it comes to find out a lot of people use the sauna even one day before the weigh-in. Yeah, man, walk us through that. And I wanted to get that out the way just in case, people send people clips. I don't want you thinking I'm some phony here. Yeah, I definitely had something to say about that. I didn't understand it. I figured why you need the sauna. I had interviewed Gary Russell Jr. a long time ago when he lost to Lomachenko, and he told me that was the reason he lost, because he got in the sauna the week of the fight. So I just figured that was a no-no. Interviewing plenty of fighters since that happened to you, some do say it's a no-no. Some don't like being in the sauna that close to a fight because they feel flat. So, yeah, I wanted to get that out the way, man. But if you want to take us back to that moment and let us know exactly what happened, since it was such a big thing in your career because it caused you to lose a fight.
It was one of those situations where I do the sauna the week of the fight because it's low impact. A lot of guys prefer to do a lot of running that week, and the running takes away from your legs. I'm at the point where I'm fighting 10, 12 round fights. You don't want to do anything that's going to overexert your body other than the night of the fight when you have to fight. So I was just getting the last. I think I was like 8 ounces or a pound over. I'm like, I'm gonna just do the sauna, to get it off, and I'll probably be able to. If I get off more than a pound, I'll be able to eat the night before weigh in. So, it's a situation of I'm coming out of the sauna I'm about to take a shower, check my weight. I probably would have been good, and I just would have called it a night until the next day. I slipped.
You breaking up, champ. I think it's because you're driving.
Yeah, I think I'm in a bad spot. You can hear me?
I hear you now.
All right. So where you lose me at? I don't want anybody to have no misconstrues of the story.
You were just saying you came out the sauna and you slipped.
Yeah. So I'm coming out of the sauna. I'm about to change my clothes, shower and everything, and I slipped because it's puddles in the sauna from me sweating. So I come out the sauna, I slip, and I landed like on the ball of my ankle. And I actually went down in the sauna. If it wasn't for the few dudes that was in there, shit, my ass would have been laid out in the damn sauna. So yeah, no, I got helped out of the sauna. I went to the hospital. My shit was big as a golf ball. So they was like, yeah, you ain't fighting a soul tomorrow. If it was up to me, shit, I would have been like motherfucking Kevin McHale when he played for the Celtics. Tape this bitch up. But they was like, nah. So they told me nah. My team told me nah. So, I was like, shit, you gotta pull out.
Yeah, man. So I thought maybe you was in there shadow boxing. Not that I know anything about being in the sauna, not that I shadow box in the sauna, but I'm like, you either sit in the sauna and you just sweat, or maybe because he a boxer, he wanted to help the weight get off, so you shadow boxing in there.
I ain't even gonna lie to you. I remember this shit like it was yesterday. I was in the sauna catching up on Raising Canaan. And when it was time to get out the sauna, I got up. I was on how the sauna got multiple levels. I was on the top level. I got up and coming off the top level, that's when I slipped. It's like coming off like where I was sweating at, I came down wrong and I bust my ass. It was just a freak accident. It is what it is though. So, yeah.
So your father introduced you to the sport at the tender age of 5. He used to be an amateur boxer, and he started your boxing career, correct?
Yes, sir.
How was that at 5? How did boxing become your thing?
Originally it wasn't really my thing. So I played football when I was a kid. So I used to have football practice, but my dad, he trained pros. So after practice, we would have to go to the fucking gym. And I'd just be in the gym and I'm like, shit, I'm already in here. I might as well just learn about it. So, I would just always be in the gym. And when I was like a little bit before I turned 8, I told my dad, I said, you might as well, let me get a fight. I want to fight now. And at first he was like, all right, cool, you can fight. He was like, you can't quit football, but you can fight. And so, I was playing football and I was boxing. And then, like, by the time I hit like 12, 13, I felt like I really had a better future in boxing than I did in football. Because I was like, shit, anything I want to do, I want to be the best. And I was like, shit, the likelihood of me becoming a pro boxer is more likely than it is for me to go to the NFL. So I said, shit, let me lock all the way in on boxing and see where I can go with it.
So is the welterweight division the division you plan on continuing the campaign, or do you see a move up?
It's something that I talked about with the team, and lately we've been weighing our options.
So nothing's definite just yet.
No, not yet.
Well, that welterweight division is starting to get pretty top heavy or name heavy, right? You got Devin just moved there, Ryan just moved there, Tio wanting the Boots fight. Is Boots there? Is he not? Where do you see yourself as a better fit for the welterweight division amongst those names with the Brian Normans and Devins and Ryans of the world, or do you see yourself with the Virgil Ortizes and the, Backrams at 54?
All right, so we have two sides to this coin. On one side you have 47, where like if you stay there, you have to win now because you all know I know I'm a big kid, and I'm growing. I'm only 22. People tell me I'm very big for the division. People say shit at 54 you will be a big 54. So at 47 that will be a situation of win now. Whereas at 54, I feel like I have more longevity there. I have time to, grow into the division fully. And, I can see myself being there for multiple years and giving myself the opportunity to win multiple belts, you know, because I'll have more time there because that'll be a division that I'll be moving up to.
So obviously, you had the unfortunate setback in December of last year where you suffered your first loss against Jose Roman. And you were scheduled for that rematch, and that's when, you got the injury. Is that something that's still on your mind, or is that something that you have to figure out once you figure out what division you're going to be in?
Step one is figuring out the division. Me, I don't like to just let shit slide. It was a fight that I thought I won, but we didn't get the decision. So it was my decision to go back for a rematch. My dad and the team was like, nah, we don't got to fight that guy. We can go a different route. But I pressed the action for a rematch. Like we all know, the rematch didn't happen because of the injury. So right now, like you said, first we have to figure out what division Jalil is going to be at. After we figure out the division, then we take the next steps. I leave all of the figuring out what's what to my team, and when it's time to fight, I just make sure I'm my best self.
So how old were you exactly in 2019? I mean, it says you were 16, but I meant to say how big were you? Because obviously the internet is talking about a time where you sparred Tank Davis, and that gave you some recognition in front of the eyes of Calvin Ford. But you being a welterweight and 5'10", 11, I'm just wondering, when the hell were you Tank size?
Shit, I graduated high school in 2020, and everybody who knew me back then, everybody swore to God when I turned pro, I was going to be fighting 135 or 140 because I was small. I didn't hit a growth spurt until after I graduated high school. I had a growth spurt in 2020. I went from 5'5" to 5'9".
Wow. Okay. How was that difficult as a boxer, because you've been fighting in this lower division? Now all of a sudden, you jump up 2-3 divisions and you have to fight bigger men.
No, it's all about adapting. I look at life. I look at boxing and life a lot the same. If you can't adapt, you're gonna lose. And with this, I said, shit, if you can't adapt, maybe you need to find something else to do with your time. And so, I just made myself adapt.
Why do you think Eddie Hearn, the owner of Matchroom, called you a young, an old head on young shoulders?
He and I talked, privately. We talked about, a lot of situations so far since I've been with him, and been with Matchroom. And he says, I like your thought process on boxing. And I asked him to, elaborate on that, because I was just curious. The older throwback fighters, you want to fight the best. You're not just cherry picking. You don't want to, it's not about the money thing. You just want to go out there and fight. And I was like, yeah, you spot on with that one. It's really not about, I'm gonna fight these guys because they easier. I'm gonna fight this guy because he's easier. It's about, oh, y'all want to see me fight him, or y'all think he's better than me? Let me fight him so I can show y'all he's not better than me. And then we just move on to the next guy.
Nah, for sure, man. Obviously, you got a lot of praise for that sparring session. Not too long after that, you signed to Mayweather Promotions. You stood with them 2 years, and you parted with Mayweather and linked up with Matchroom. Looking back on your decision, are you happy with the decision you made to part ways with Mayweather, or do you slightly regret it now that you see some of your older stablemen? Because it seems like right when you left, it's like you left, Ingram left, and then y'all caused Mayweather Promotions to be like, all right, damn, let's get the rest of these kids some fights before more people leave. Not to mention Robert Merriweather also left.
Yeah, I don't regret the decision. Everything that happens is for a reason. Coming to Eddie, my first fight with Eddie, I fought for the Continental Americas title. So, I'm overly thankful for that. Um, and it was a situation with me of the promotions where it didn't end on bad terms. When I told them that I wanted out, they had complete understanding of why I wanted out, and what my plans were, not just as a fighter but in life. And I said, right now it's best for me not to be with y'all. And they was cool with that. Like, I can still call Floyd till this day. And even though Leonard isn't with Male Promotions, me and Leonard still talk often. You know, so yeah, it was a situation where, like, in order for me to grow, I had to grow elsewhere, and both parties understood that. So everything's cool.
Now, I understand you had, man, at least about 160 amateur fights. So turning pro at 18 wasn't technically Russian, but why did you turn pro at 18?
It was a situation where the only other option was to wait around until 2024, which was actually last year. The only other option was to wait around until 2024 to try and make an Olympic team, um, which, the boxing politics, that isn't certain. Um, So I just said, why not get a jump start on my career now? Because, after, let's say I tried to make an Olympic team and I didn't make it, I would have been turning pro anyway. So it's like, why not turn pro now, get some fights under your belt, and be able to develop as a pro. So by the time, other guys are just turning, you already got your feet wet in the game.
What was that defining moment that made you realize boxing was going to be your destiny and that this was for you?
It was honestly, when when I started to, like, get national notoriety. Like, your first few times at some tournaments, you just there, but like when you've been to a nice amount of tournaments and you done won a nice amount of them, then it's like, dudes expecting you to win these tournaments, or like you going and you hear, like, it's chatter, like guys that came up in the amateurs know how the weigh-ins are. Niggas sitting at the weigh-ins, they like, oh shit, you gotta fight Jalil, bro. Like, goddamn, just try your best. Like, when you hearing shit like that, it's like, all right, I feel like I got a future in this sport.
Your first loss, obviously, to Jose Roman in December, it shocked a lot of us. We didn't expect that loss. Can you walk us through what happened exactly, and what did you learn in that fight, and how are you addressing those stamina issues moving forward? Or do you not believe you had a stamina issues? Because, you seen the writers in the internet, they pointed to that. They said, later half you slowed down.
What I learned from the fight, first off, you can't take anything for granted. Can't take anything for granted. Um, Also, it was a situation of everybody questioned, did I look past him or anything like that? I said, no, not at all. I didn't look past him not one bit. Like, I went into that fight preparing for strictly him. Some people say, well, leading up to the fight, y'all were bringing up Brian Norman and stuff like that. I said, yeah, because, I was looking forward to those. Those were the type fights that I seen in the future, be that we had got past Jose Roman. And, it was a situation where we didn't do enough to win. I might have thought I won, but I'm not one of the judges. So what I thought or what my corner thought, it didn't matter. We didn't win over the judges, so we lost the fight. And as far as the future, after that fight, watching it again and everything like that, I don't think it was a stamina issue because I'm not sure if you've seen my fight with Peter Dobson, but my fight with
Yeah, I've
Pete
seen all your
Dobson.
fights.
If you go back and watch the fight with Pete, I don't know if you can tell, but I know I knew. In the 7th round, I was exhausted. I was done. I was like, man, shit. Even my dad knew because when I came back to the corner in one of the later rounds, he like, man, I don't know what you got to do, but you got to pick it up. Like you did all this good work in the early part of the fight. Don't give it away on the back half. And that him telling me that got me through that fight. But if you watch the fight with Roman, even all the way up to the 10th round, when I went out there in the 10th round, I went out there balls to the wall. Like, I was trying to go get him. And I just don't feel like a fatigued fighter would have did that. So I don't think it was a case of fatigue. It was just, we didn't do enough to win the fight.
So you're a DC native training out of the Enigma Boxing Gym. Are you still out of that gym?
No,
Oh.
I'm not.
So that was the Russell's gym, right?
Yes, I from the time I got introduced to boxing, that's where I was training at. My early teens, we parted ways, and I just felt like I had to grow my own name because more often than not, it was, oh, that's one of the Russells, and it's nothing against that. That's one of those heavy as the head that wears the crown because they've done a lot in the sport of boxing to create their name. But I just wanted to create my own name. My last name is Hackett, so I wanted to branch off and create my own thing in the boxing world.
It's crazy you said that, right? I'm going to say it anyway because you kind of answered it by saying you wanted to create your own name because I was going to say if you felt like some sort of, I guess like if you owed them something to win in the name of Gary Russell Sr., being as though that he passed, but you made it clear, you separated from them to make a name for yourself. And I understand if you were being confused as one of the brothers. I mean, I'm sure it's a good thing in a way because they look at you as
Yeah,
a boxing
and
family, but you still
no,
want to be
absolutely.
yourself.
I just tell people don't get it confused in no way, shape, or form. Outside of boxing, that's like family. I tell people I've been around them all my life. They was around me longer than I knew I was around them. I tell people Antonio Russell taught me how to walk. Not walking in boxing, taught me how to put the left foot in front of the right foot. You know, I look at Gary Russell Sr., rest in peace his soul, I look at him as my grandfather. I came up around him all my life. That's where I developed my roots in the boxing world. But as far as like when it was time for me to make my own name, I felt like I didn't want to make it with them because I would just be looked at as another one of the Russells instead of Jalil Hackett.
Absolutely. If you could step into the ring with any boxing legend, past or present, for a dream fight or even a sparring session, who would it be and how's Jalil Major Hackett come out on top?
It's two of them. Number one would be Marvin Hagler because I just like his mentality and I like how he fought. So I think like if we fought, that would be a dog fight. It'll be about who break first, and I don't plan on breaking. So the second one would be it would probably be Roy Jones. I just want to share the ring with Roy Jones. Even now, just to share the gym with Roy Jones would be nice because you and I both watched his career and it was a hell of a career.
So, having dealt with that first loss, obviously our topic, as I showed you in the link I sent you, is about Ryan. And, fans are calling him overrated. They're saying that he's washed. When Devin Haney just beat Jose Ramirez, they said, oh, Jose Ramirez is washed. How do you deal with fight fans writing you off after a loss?
I look at it as, they writing you off, but it don't mean nothing because they can't spell. So people can't understand them writing you off. I just try and, block out the noise, and focus on the task at hand. Because at the end of the day, you the one that got to get in the ring. You the one that got to get hit in the face. They not getting hit, so they can say whatever they want. It's all about what you do in that ring. You can sway their opinion or not sway their opinion by your actions in the ring.
Before that loss, obviously, it seemed like you were on a collision course with Devin Haney. You and your father were doing interviews. You were getting the attention of Bill. There was a back and forth. Now Devin is officially at 147. Is that a fight you still want? Or does that also go to the back burner till you decide the division you're campaigning at?
It's another one of those things that honestly it goes to the back burner. We still trying to figure out what the next step is. So until we figure out the next step, we don't know who's next.
And do you have a nutritionist? Have you ever used a nutritionist throughout the entire camp, or has that not been one of those stones that you turned over just yet?
It's a stone that hasn't been turned over yet. We've looked into it, but it's one of those things that haven't been looked into deep enough yet.
For sure, for sure. I got a couple questions from the people, and then we will get you out of here. First one is coming from the best dad ever. Some of these guys believe you weren't hurt when your last fight was canceled. They blamed it on your weight. What's the real truth? You kind of touched on that. I don't know if you want to add to it. Anything that anyone asks you that we already talked about, if you answered it, you don't have to revisit.
No, hey, he took his time to type it, so I'm gonna take my time to answer it. Like I said, going into the sauna that day, I was a pound over. I never disclosed the weight, but before we went to the sauna, I was 148 and a half. So it's one of those things where it's like it was a freak accident, and if I can undo it, I guess maybe we don't go in the sauna the day before. We don't fall. You could have fell running. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. The only way you can prevent anything from happening is after the press conference, we go back to the room and I sit in a plastic bubble until the weigh-in.
Plastic bubble.
Certain things are inevitable.
For sure, for sure. We got Rod in L.A. Why aren't you on the June 14th card, Hitchens versus Kambosos?
That's something that we have to talk over with the team. We still figuring shit out. Yeah.
So in terms of rehabilitation, you're completely healed though. You are fight cleared by a doctor?
Yes. I was cleared a little bit over a month ago.
Oh, that's great. You back sparring yet, and how you feeling?
I'm back sparring. I'm feeling good. At first it was, people hesitant about me doing full on activity. Even after I was cleared, they were real hesitant about it because I think 2 or 3 days before I was cleared, my inflammation in my ankle had just went down. And, I was just letting them know, like, despite it still looking swollen, I was telling them, like, I feel good. I had been walking consistently. I had started to ride the bike consistently. And I, even before I was cleared, like the day before I was cleared, I even asked, I was like, why not try and run to see if I can really work? And they was like, "Nah, we're gonna wait till you're cleared by an actual doctor." And the same day I was cleared, I went on a run and I didn't feel bad at all. Um, I guess it might have hurt a little from not running for a while, but it didn't hurt to the point where it's like, I can't walk on it. And as of today, it doesn't hurt.
All right. Next one is from Ruin of 504 New Orleans. Should a fighter be in the sauna during fight week?
It depends on how. I honestly base that on. It depends on how your camp run things. You know, us. The week of we try and do very low impact things, and the sauna is a form of a low impact workout. Because you're getting the sweat in without doing too much physically, too much physical movement, too much physical work. Exerting energy that you're gonna need on fight night.
All right. Next one is from Octo. Yo, champ, what's your favorite music artist? And give us one good movie we should watch.
All right, my favorite music artist right now, he got something brewing, is my brother Robbie Rob. My go-to song for him is he got a song. It's on Apple Music. It's on YouTube. It's on all platforms. It's called Uncensored. Because it's one of those songs. It don't got no hook. I like songs with no hooks that's just rapping straight through. Yeah, it's one of those songs that he just was flowing on that joint, and he ain't rapping about he ain't on the YN music. He ain't spinning. He ain't doing all the dumbass shit. He just rapping. He's spitting. And what was the second half of that question?
One good movie we should watch.
One good movie. My go-to movie if I don't know what to watch and I just have to watch a movie that's timeless. Probably Friday. Friday is a timeless movie. I could watch that movie 100 times. I'm gonna laugh every time.
For sure, for sure. That's definitely one we could watch. Next one is Devin Sanchez. Jose Roman makes 147 well, and he was noticeably bigger than you. Try and make 147. This division is underwhelming, and you can become a champ. 154 is full of vets and even young guys. I don't think you're ready for the Virgil and the Zayas.
That's one of those situations where only time will tell. If we move up and we beat those guys, then it's like, you were wrong. We move up, we lose to those guys, you were right. But we don't know until later on down the line when we make our moves and everything happens.
I got El Consejero in Washington State. He says, Jalil, appreciate your time. How do you take care of your mental health, especially before a fight?
That's one of those things where, I take time after the fights, like in between fights when, we taking those slight breaks. I sit down, I try and be around family. I've actually seeked out a therapist. I see a therapist now. So, yeah, it's just all about getting professional help and doing things that you like. I like being around my family, so I be around family and I seek the professional help that I need to make sure I'm cool.
So I'm only bringing this up because Tank did that. I think it was an interview with Lil Yachty where he said that he wants to retire because he wants to do therapy, but he'd rather not be in the game because he feels like he'll lose that aggression. Obviously you doing both. You still boxing and doing therapy, so I'm assuming you don't think you lose that competitive edge, that killer instinct that Tank was talking about?
No, I don't think you'll lose that. Certain things are stuck with you. We come from similar environments. So it's certain things that he's never is 100 years of therapy, he's not gonna forget it. And I just feel like therapy will not take away from my ability to perform in the ring.
For sure. Next one is from Malcolm in New York. He says, you graduated high school with a 3.5 GPA, but I think he's wrong. Wasn't it 3.7?
It was a 7.
Yeah,
It was
man.
a
Get
7.
that right, Malcolm.
I need my point too.
Yeah, we need them 2 points, man. That ain't every day. So he graduated with 3.7 GPA. Besides boxing, was there a career you thought of pursuing in college?
In the event that I went to college straight out of high school, I would have majored in journalism because I still love sports. I could talk sports with you all day, not even just boxing. You know, football, basketball, etc. Um, I would have went to school for journalism, and I would have wanted to become a writer for like ESPN or something like that, or even become an anchor. You know, yeah, that's one of those things that I looked into, and I still look into it. You know, and it wouldn't be hard. You know, in high school, I had a quarter worth of credits. I didn't have a whole first half of college school year, but I had a quarter worth of credits. So going back wouldn't be nothing.
All right, I got Donald in Baton Rouge. What fight made you get better?
Um, my first 10 rounder, Pete Dobson. Me and Pete, we talk often, and I always let him know like I appreciate him for helping me develop into a better fighter, because that was my first 10 rounder. It was one of my biggest fights, and he came to fight. So it really made me prepare, not only for the physical aspect of it, but the mental aspect of it too. Leading up to the fight, he had something to say damn near every other day. So yeah, no, I really, yeah, that was the one right there.
Nah, that was a great fight. Like I said, we didn't expect that Roman fight, and that fight was such a big step up. You beat a guy probably easier than Conor Ben, who we thought was ready for a title shot, and you know look at what he did with Chris Eubank. He lost in that fight, but he won in that fight as a loss. People still loved his performance. So yeah, that was a big win for you, man.
No, absolutely.
I got Mox Zilla. Bart from Texas says, "What up, champ? How do you keep yourself calm during a fight? Any tricks? Thank you and good luck."
Um, I feel like it's one of those things that you develop over time. Your first time doing anything, you're gonna be nervous. Your first time driving, you was probably nervous, but after you drive for like a year, you drive cool. It's a few events. You might have a few scares here and there, but for the most part, you chilling, you good.
Absolutely. We got Alex Vega, Palm Beach, South Florida. What is one piece of advice you received early on your boxing career that still sticks with you today?
One piece of advice that I received early is the same people that got you here, those are people that you need to keep around because they genuine. You know, they were here when it was nothing. So in the event that it becomes something, just keep those people around.
I got Ali and Dago that says, "What's up, Mr. Hackett? Who are your top 3 favorite fighters of all time?"
Top three, no order. We got James Toney, we got Marvin Hagler, and we got Roy Jones.
Nice. I got Spizzle. He says, "What up, G? Congrats on your success so far. What made you think you could beat Devin Haney? Was it how you performed in sparring or a fight? How do you keep such confidence?"
I know what I bring to the table. I know what he brings to the table, and I feel like in a 12-round fight, I will beat him. I don't think it will go 12. I'm just being realistic with myself. In the event that the fight goes 12, he wins a boxing match. But I don't see the fight going 12.
Bucky Rogers from Delaware, salute, Major. With all the new faces coming up to 147, it's a lot of potential big money fights. How long you look to stay at 147? Just from the outside looking in, 147 just might take too much to make. What's your plan? Keep being great and you'll have a bright future. You've already answered that. Y'all haven't made a decision. You've answered it 3 separate different ways, so we could get to the next one. I just wanted to make sure we read his question, unless you want to add anything else.
Yeah, no, like you said, we answered it a few times, and
Yeah.
I just want to let him know I appreciate you for stopping through. You came through, you showed love, you had a question. I'm not sure if you were here for the answer, but right now we weighing our options. We weighing our options at 47. We're weighing our options at 54, and we'll have an answer for you guys soon.
Next one is, what's going on, Jay? This is Coach Anthony out of North Carolina. A lot of people support you here support you in the Winston-Salem and Greensboro area heavy. Really, the entire state. Do you have any family ties to North Carolina, champ?
Yeah, I have family all down the East Coast. North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. You know, so it's one of those things where like you never know. You'll run into anybody anywhere. I tell people a hilarious situation. I didn't find out Jahan Ingram and I were cousins until about 3 years ago.
Yeah, he's from North Carolina.
Yeah, one of our cousins is like somebody that I've known for a while, and it's somebody that he's also known for a while. And we put two and two together, and we found out we were related.
For sure. Quest in Virginia. What's up, champ? Blind rank these boxers. So it's 5 boxers, 5
All right,
positions.
there we go. Come on.
Brian
Are
Norman.
they all in the? Hold on, before you say this, are they all in the same division or like how is this?
He don't want me to tell you, but no, one is not.
Cool. All right,
New
cool.
text message from Jessica Nathan Mon TTY.
All right, Brian Norman, I'll put him at 3.
Boots.
1.
Devin.
4.
Blair the Flair.
5.
Tank.
2.
Good one. I got AB 2 times from Colorado. Champ, what's your favorite boxing workout? Bag work, mitts, sparring, and let me guess, it's sparring.
Yeah, it's definitely sparring. I like how James Toney used to look at boxing. He did an interview and he told the guy that was interviewing him. He said, when I used to get ready for fights, I only used to spar and ride the bike. He said that's how I used to get ready for my fights. And I look at it, I don't really do the bike that much, but as far as sparring, what better way to get in shape for a fight than practice fighting?
Word. James Benitez in Atlanta, he says, respectfully, bro, I said before, y'all DC ninjas ain't fooling with us down here in Atlanta. Norman becoming the real king of the South. Stay tuned. I promise. It's a movie occurring down here. So get you some popcorn ready. I guess he's a Brian Norman fan.
Hey man, shit. Brian Norman, a hell of a fighter. Motherfucking world champion too. I got much respect for him and his pops. They doing their thing, and he a hell of a fighter. DC, we got fighters up here, and I just tell people, once upon a time, DC had 5 champions at once. So the not only just DC, but like our whole metropolitan area. I don't really like to refer to it as the DMV, but like I just look at it as DC and the surrounding areas, the immediate surrounding areas. We have a lot of talent here.
For sure. Tip Bellis. No, excuse me. Major Media says, do you think the judges in Puerto Rico were biased in their decision for your last fight?
No. Everybody has their own opinion on things. A lot of my fans say, we feel like you got that fight, But if you beat a guy, if you dominate a guy, if you're expected to dominate a guy, and you only just win, or you only look good enough to get the decision, I don't think you deserve to win.
Got it. Tip Bellis, what's something Floyd taught you that sticks to this day?
With hard work, you're gonna be able to do almost anything, but you got to put the work in. I know around the time, like right before I left Mayweather Promotions, he and I did a workout together, and I can honestly say that dude worked out like he got a world title fight coming up at his age.
So you've never trained with someone that trains as hard as him? Because that's kind of like what all boxers say. They ain't never seen nobody train like Floyd.
Nobody trained like Floyd. And I done worked with a lot of fighters. Nobody trained like Floyd. Like Grandpa Floyd, like old man Floyd, nobody trained like him.
Damn. I got Talk Trans. He says, you and Devin, why the beef?
It was really a situation where, like, it wasn't really beef. We boxers. You know, if you got something to say about me and I felt a certain way about what you said about me, nigga, let's fight. This is what we do for a living. You know, so it was a situation where like either we fight or you shut the fuck up. That's really all it was.
Hey, gotta respect that. Jalil, that was the last question. We do appreciate you, man. Thank you for getting on. The minute you figure out what's the next move, whether that's welterweight or 54, or Matchroom gives you a call with an opponent, DM me, man, so we can schedule you back and let the world know what's cooking.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you for having me on your platform. Everybody that came through and showed love, I appreciate y'all. You know, if you came through to talk shit, I appreciate you too. Because you came through, you spent your time to talk to me. So, I appreciate that. Everybody who's keeping up with me, we're gonna have some big news for you guys soon. And once again, I thank you.
Nah, thank you, man, for coming on. We appreciate you, taking out the time and, giving us an opportunity.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you.
All right, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Jalil Major Hackett, another one. Phone lines are open. We got Al in the Bay. What do you say?
Yo, what's up? What's up?
Yo.
Shout out to Hackett, man. He came out on the show, answered all the tough questions. You know, um, yeah, man. What is this about Ryan Hand? Like,
He's
I
got an
wasn't hearing
injury.
from the.
He's got an injury, and they're claiming it was before the fight is sustained in camp. So people are saying that this is just another excuse.
Oh, they're saying he had a. It didn't seem like he. Well, I watched the playback because I didn't watch the actual fight. So I kind of watched little highlights because I can't really say. But to me, during the highlights, it seemed like he was throwing the punches, man. It didn't seem like his hand was hurt. Uh, but like I said, I can't really say too much because I wasn't watching the fight. I only seen like the highlights of the fight. So, but yeah, man. I guess sometimes boxers do have injuries they don't want to say. Uh, you know, but like when you talk about a hand injury, I remember what's name had a hand injury, and he literally was boxing with one hand. Uh, Russell, the older brother, his last fight that I saw, Gary Russell. He was literally fighting one hand. You could tell his hand was hurt. I think a lot of people, you know, use that as an excuse or the hand was hurting. But it is what it is. He just got to get back on top. You feel me? That's the way I look at it, and that's my call.
All right. If you're watching this on YouTube, now is the time to hit the thumbs up or call in. Absolutely free to hit that thumbs up. Share the show. Help us get some visibility. And put this episode in the eyes of boxing fans that don't know. We rocking out multiple times per day. We got a fat $10 super chat. Tevin Smith says, it wouldn't surprise me if he go home after the fight and punch the wall to purposely hurt his hand because he's a goofy like that. Damn, go to the extremes for the excuses, what he's saying. Hey, phone lines open. Who wants to call in? Voice their opinion. Right now, we are at. We got.
Oh, no. Richard Steele stops the fight.
241,001. So we made it. We made it. In between episodes, we crossed over, got a new milestone. We accomplished something. Pat yourself on the back. Without you, we couldn't have done it. Yeah, it's on to the next one, though. 242 now. 242-0000. Hey, last call for callers. If not, early show, hour and a half. We got our interview done, in and out like a robbery. That's what Jerron said. You know? Jay Billy. Jay Billy.
Yo. How are yo?
Straight.
Yes, sir. Shout out Ness putting in that work, man. You know I gotta tap in when it's about some Ryan bullshit. So they basically trying to make a cop out, right? The Rolly performance was because of the hand. That's what I'm getting. But I kind of tapped in late, so
Basically, the hand is to cover the Rolly performance.
yeah, bro. We don't want to hear all that shit. And it's crazy because after the Rolly loss, now all of a sudden nobody wants to see the rematch. Nobody wants to see the Dev rematch. Like, I really think they robbing Dev of that get back. Because at the end of the day, we still want that shit. The Dev fans, we was calling for it before the Rolly fight. Pretty much most of us knew what was going to happen to Ryan in that Rolly fight. He got lifted off his feet, got knocked down. But you got to come back and fight another day. Let's not start making these excuses because, like bro just said on the call before, I didn't see no hand injury. I probably wasn't looking close enough. I didn't buy the fight. I was watching it on my phone. I don't know if it was a small picture size, but I didn't see him fighting cautious like he hurt his hand or something. So we're gonna have to see you in the hospital bed like Shakur. You're gonna have to go ahead and get some surgery. You know, take a quick flick real quick to prove it to us because we don't believe you. You feel me? We don't believe you. You need more people. You need some evidence. We need some hard evidence with this one. Because at the end of the day, we still need that get back. Whenever we have it, hopefully it's by the end of this year, top of next year, if he has to take some time off. But we still need that Ryan versus Dev 2, clean slate. That's the perfect name, clean slate, because Ryan might be clean. So yeah, man, we not letting them go this easy. Like I see the play. So yeah, man, I just had to tap in real quick and say that shit, bro. Keep on putting in that work. I'm gonna tap back in if somebody say something.
You the man, champ. You the man. Appreciate you calling in. We got Brandon. Crypto Brandon.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello, what up, Ness? So with this topic, Ryan Garcia, I mean, he did sort of I mean, perform rather like less than usual during that fight. It was my expectation that he was gonna win that fight and make a mockery out of Romero, but it just didn't happen that way. Um, it's just sad to see someone who's overall all around a good fighter. People support him. He has a large following and all that sort of stuff. Just to see somebody get injured like that on his hand, it's the worst feeling. I mean, if you ever suffered an injury yourself, I'm sure everybody has. It's just not a good feeling to have, especially when you got to have surgery on it. So that's the thing that's that is kind of sucks about boxing is people get injured more frequently because it's not like sort of basketball where you push somebody or you hit somebody like the slightest touch on somebody is a foul call. This in this game you're supposed to hurt the other dude. You got like that's what you got to do. So that's basically why it's like there's so many injuries. Hand injuries most common ones, and it's just it is what it is. A sad case of somebody getting injured, and um, when that happens, you just gotta pray for that dude. Be like, hey, come back from that injury, just like Shakur did, right? Shakur got injured too. He came back. He got a win. So Ryan, when when he comes back, he can get a win. It happens to everybody. But don't hate on people for getting injured because they never expect it. Just like that one dude that just got knocked out and like he sadly like he had surgery too. Like somebody gets injured, like you got to say, be respectful to them and say, like, dude, like this guy, he's gonna recover. Because if you hate on somebody for getting injured, why does that make them want to go back in the sport? Because they just get demotivated. But hopefully he makes his injury isn't like that bad. He comes back because I do want to see Ryan again, but at the same time, he just got he has to come back from two losses in a row, like two losses in a row. That's gonna that's most fighters if they lose one loss, if they take one loss, they don't even come back from they retire after that. So, um, it is what it is. Hopefully Ryan Garcia, like, he gets better. He fights another person and he wins. Um, and yeah, that's about it. Obviously, that's the thing that hindered him during his performance with Romero was the hand injury. So with a broken hand or with a hurt hand, you can't fight properly. Like you'll be swinging your hand at the other guy, and it's gonna hurt when it lands. So and you can't hit as hard. You don't want to hit as hard because the pain is just too severe. So yeah, man. Of course.
Richard Steele stops the fight.
Nah, man. That's probably why people think that this is all bull crap, because people are eating it up, right? It's easy for you to, for those that choose to believe, and then they fall into that.
Hey man, you have a lot of people calling in supporting Ryan, man. I'm finna give some hate. Fuck that, cause I'm like what Alex Vega said earlier. I ain't giving his ass no grace, and he ain't copping no pleas with me. Cause ain't nobody get Shakur no excuses, and he still won against De Los Santos. Ain't nobody get Tio no excuses. That motherfucker was sick and almost died against Cambosis. So Ryan ain't getting no pleas and no shit from me. Well, that and that tell you too. See, I like what Alex Vega said earlier, because Alex Vega said that Ryan was never on no elite level. All that. That's true. That motherfucker ain't got nothing but that left, and he just done had everybody fooled. But see, Shakur with one hand, he still beat De Los Santos. So I ain't trying to hear none of that shit. But truthfully, you know what I really think it is, man? Shout out to Coach Malachi, man. Coach Malachi from True Media, because he said this last week. He said Oscar down to his last bullet in that rusty 38. That last bullet is Virgil Ortiz, and let me tell you why. I think this shit another duck move. Now you might laugh, y'all might laugh, but just stick with me, trust me. I think this a duck move because you see Oscar said he don't want Ryan to rematch Devin and all that shit. Oscar is hitting them boys in the head with a hammer when it's time to get that work nest. I'm telling you, bro. This the reason why Zepeda ain't fight Shakur after that Tevin Farmer fight, man. I was telling everybody. Everybody thought that fight was all set in stone. When Zepeda had that fight with Tevin Farmer, he didn't look too good in it. Oscar like, man, I got to get you out of this fight with Shakur. So Zepeda was finna get ready to open his car door, and Oscar slammed the man hand in the door. I think he did the same thing with Ryan. He's like, don't worry, Ryan, I'm gonna get you out of this so that way you ain't gotta fight Devin Haney. That's what it is, man. That man trying to top please, but like I say, he ain't getting none from me. So I don't give a damn. Like I told you the other day, yeah, I think his ass watching that because, like I said, he ain't never been on no elite level to me. I genuinely don't know where he go from this. Like, legit. He legit need to fight Josh Taylor, and the loser of that motherfucker need to fucking retire. Like, legit. That's how I see it. 'Cause that motherfucker is not special. He was never on that level. Like you was talking about the other day with the 4 and the 5 kings. That's why I personally always said it was 4 kings, but I never included him because he never succeeded with none. He knew they ain't got nothing but that left hand. And they telling me his right hand and he having surgery and shit. Man, he don't even throw his fucking right hand when he fight. So I ain't going for that shit. They ain't fooling me. So I ain't trying to hear it, but that's all I called in to say. And that was a good ass interview too, Ness, with Jai Tucker. I ain't dropped no questions, but that was a good ass interview. So salute. But peace out.
Appreciate you. Last call for callers. We got Polo Buck. Anyone dropped a track yet? We waiting. Hourglass emoji. Nah, if you talking about Jerry, he ain't dropped it yet. Mad Bent, $2. Daily Dose of Tanquil. Lies, Liar, Rib, the Face, the Hand, King, Crown emoji, Rolly. Hey. Yes, sir. Listen, last call for callers. If you're trying to call in, now is the time. Once again, we were updating you with everything that is Ryan Garcia and the latest Ring magazine reporting that Ryan having hand surgery today. So now boxing fans pointing to the hand as the reason for the poor performance with Ryan Garcia. May 2nd, Times Square. We got Tip Bellis, Washington, D.C. What up?
Yo. Yeah, man. Good interview, man. Got my man's on. Good interview, man. That's what's up. But in other news, man, yo, what happened, man? You know what I'm saying? Yesterday was the holiday. We were supposed to get a Lobo interview. What happened, bro? I know I put a super chat, but I had to dip off. Damn, what happened?
You know what happened, bro? We
What,
had a
he stood
little.
you up?
Nah, man.
Oh,
I was ran into an emergency.
oh man. Oh, damn. Nah, that's nasty, Ness. That's
You a
nasty.
hater, bro.
Nah, I ain't no hater. Man, you stood that man up. You went out there to go get that yeah, that A side footage, man. You went out there to get that A side footage
Nah, I
with Big
wish,
Baby.
bro. I ain't even make it and they sparred according to Laugh Out Loud Pillow. He said they got the spar, man.
Damn. Yeah, man. I was hoping to tune in for an old boy interview, man. You know what I'm saying? It was gonna be a good one. Hopefully we get another. Did we do? You ain't do Vince today either, did you?
Yeah. Damn, don't do me like that.
Nah, you know bro, I've been working, so I ain't been like tuning in. Like I hopped in and out, so I ain't really got to see anything. Yeah, man, get that man this interview, man. Let him get some shine. You know what I'm saying? I gave him the spotlight of mine. You know, now he need his own show. You know what I'm saying? See if he can really carry the program. You know,
All
I can't
right.
let everybody eat off the plate. Can't let everybody eat off the plate. But yeah, man, this Ryan Garcia hand injury, yeah, we not believing this, bro. You know what I'm saying? We don't care. Uh, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's not like it matters. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, he was going back the way he was before he even fought Devin. So I mean, what difference would it make? You know what I'm saying? It's not like his shit over with. You know what I'm saying? He back to square one. Yeah, I thought he was trash before the fight. You know what I'm saying? He got overturned. He lost when he came back. Okay, now he's back to square one. They both back in the same position before they fought. Both back in the same position. So yeah, man, that's all I gotta say on that, man.
All right, champ. All right. Appreciate you. All right, ladies and gents, that is the last call. We right back at it tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Nest GTO, Instagram, and Twitter. If you really want to hit me, make sure you hit me up on @TheBoxingVoice. Peace.